Welcome to the program. Senate Speaker Ekwe Ethuro has today reiterated that the Transitional Authority, whose tenure is set to end early March, should not be done away with since there is still work to be done. The Speaker was speaking at a breakfast meeting with civil society groups where he said devolution is key in taking development to the grassroots level but will need the authority's facilitation. He also revealed that senators will be tabling a term extension bill for the authority later on today.
We have published a bill which we are actually going to do first reading today in order to extend the mandate of Transitional Authority. And the point is this: they already have acquired capacity, the expertise, and I think to really remove them because of a technical hitch. And our Constitution has also provided guidance that technicalities should not prevent us from prosecuting justice. So Transitional Authority, in our view, we want to agree with them on the work that needs to be done and the period that is required, so that we give them precise timelines and agree that within this particular time frame they will be accomplished. And I think
now, almost a week since South Sudan President Salva Kiir appointed rival leader Riek Machar as vice president, Machar is yet to return to the capital Juba to assume office. Machar, who fled Juba on the onset of political conflict 2 years ago, has since conditioned his return on the demilitarization of Juba and integration of police units. President Kiir has now given Machar a 7-day ultimatum within which to return to the South Sudanese capital. President Kiir has hinted the possibility of forming the transitional government on Friday with or without Machar's presence, a move that could plunge the country back into war.
Excellency President,
the decision just a few days ago by President Salva Kiir to reappoint the exiled Dr. Machar to the role of vice president raised hopes that a brutal 2-year conflict in the world's youngest nation might now come to an end. The warring parties, under pressure from Washington, the United Nations and other powers, signed a peace deal in August that called for a transitional government of national unity and a division of powers between the government and the opposition. Machar, who was vice president from 2005 until he was sacked in 2013, and who has yet to return to Juba since fleeing when war broke out in December 2013, has since welcomed the decree. The opposition leader had, however, initially stated that he would not return to South Sudan's capital, Juba, unless President Salva Kiir revokes the creation of 28 districts.
The 28th declaration of states is a violation. The dissolution of the structures of the SPLM is a violation. The non-holding of the ceasefire on the ground is also a violation. So we see more violation rather than moving forward towards implementation of the agreement.
But after appointing him as vice president on the 11th of February, President Kiir has since invited Machar to report back to Juba in order to run his prerogative duties as part of the implementation of the peace agreement. But almost a week later, Machar is yet to return to Juba, begging the question, where is Machar? The opposition leader, who has since accepted his position of vice president, has conditioned his return on the demilitarization of Juba and on the transportation of his bodyguards, a strong force of nearly 3,000 police and army. Riek Machar is currently in Pretoria, South Africa, for an official diplomatic meeting seeking support to the implementation of the peace agreement he signed in August last year. The visit to Pretoria came a day after Machar returned from the Egyptian capital, Cairo, where he met Egyptian authorities, including the president, during more than 1 week's stay in the Arab Republic. Meanwhile, President Kiir has hinted on the possibility of forming the transitional government of national unity this week, giving Machar 7 days within which to report back to the South Sudanese capital. According to reports, President Kiir is expected to announce a government of 16 ministers, including 2 former detainees and 2 additional ones from other political parties other than Dr. Machar's faction if the leader declines to honor the 7-day ultimatum to return to the country. An interim administration without Dr. Machar, however, poses doubts as to whether the parties to the peace agreements were ready to honor the peace in the first place.
To act while the agreement is in the process of being implemented, act the way he acted now. gives us a lot of concerns. Is he serious about implementing the peace?
The UN has since urged Machar to return to Juba to address other peace-related issues that are needed to fully implement the power-sharing deal. Despite the peace accord, a UN report shows that both sides continue to seek new weapons. Fighting between government forces and Machar's rebels has especially been brutal on civilians. Tension continues to run high in South Sudan as it remains to be seen whether Machar will honor the 7-day ultimatum to return to Juba. Michelle Ngele, KTN News. The Ugandan Electoral Commission says it's every system go for the general election tomorrow. The commission is asking Ugandans to turn up to cast their vote in what is arguably the country's most hotly contested vote. Incumbent Yoweri Museveni seeks to retain his seat, which he has held for the last 30 years.
A media house releases provisional results and states that these are provisional until confirmation by the Electoral Commission. There will be no problem. Nobody will follow you. Okay? The use of mobile phones, I don't know how many times we shall speak about it. We did not ban you media carrying your mobile phones. But the voter who comes to vote, as soon as he or she gets into the formation for voting, his phone must be off or in silence. The voter, as he proceeds through the polling station, will not be allowed to operationalize, to be seen communicating with his phone. But you media, of course, you'll be outside with your cameras outside the formation. You'll not enter the polling station with your guns. These guns I'm seeing, I heard they are more powerful than a regular gun. So, but around the perimeter of the polling station, you media, it's okay.
All right, that was an official of the Ugandan Electoral Commission speaking earlier today. And the police in Uganda have assured people of utmost security during the vote. Incumbent Yoweri Museveni seeks to, ahead of the polls tomorrow, retain his 30-year seat. I beg your pardon.
Which were really not something to make sensational news, although sometimes some of the media houses have tended to to magnify them and give an impression that somehow the elections have not been peaceful. This is the third national elections I'm involved in terms of policing, and I can tell you this one marked difference is that it was largely tension-free. Never mind what is reported here and there. There was just one major incident during the early period of campaigning, and then the other day some small incidents here in town. But largely, really, most of the incidents of crime were misdemeanors. They were not felonies. Just
Court leader Raila Odinga is appealing for a free and fair election in Uganda. In a statement, Raila says the election is key to the future of a country that is strengthening the ideals of democracy. He has appealed to the government and the electoral authorities to ensure a level playing field that makes it easy and possible for all voters to cast the ballot. Raila has urged security agencies to the need to support the process and ensure that it is free of intimidation. Uganda heads to the elections tomorrow with opposition leader Kizza Besigye looking to unseat Yoweri Museveni, who has been in power since 1986.
Our people spoke with one voice and gave a simple message that they want change. That was a very, very strong and direct message everywhere that we went. And I'd like to say that they do not only need change, but they deserve change. Because the 30 years of the NRM regime have caused a lot of disappointment and disaffection across the entire population. And the voice from the people is that they have been failed in the last 30 years, and what could not be done in that long period cannot be done in another 5 years.
The Ugandan government is facing public discontent on issues as diverse as corruption, youth unemployment, the rising cost of living, and police brutality. It is on these issues that presidential candidates have been battling to convince voters to pick them over other candidates. It can only be hoped that Uganda's next leader will be picked based on the candidate that convinces the nation of their ability to bring beneficial transformation. Our reporter Trixie Gado has put together issues that are likely to dominate Uganda's next election. The face-off between Uganda's incumbent President Yoweri Museveni and his arch rivals is showing no sign of letting up as the country prepares to head for the ballot. Recent political intrigues indicate the script has not changed as police clashed with opposition supporters after briefly detaining leading presidential candidate Kizza Besigye twice as he tried to hold campaign rallies ahead of the general election, clashes that have claimed the life of one civilian.
Even when police attacked the citizens, threw tear gas canisters at them, the citizens walked towards the police and demanded to have their freedom to convene, to assemble. This is what we are seeing today. And I'll tell you something, Solomon. What we are seeing today is actually a reflection of where the citizens have reached. And what they are saying, you will not use force to deny us our rights, our freedoms. Enough is enough.
Given that Uganda is a democratic republic, it is expected, in theory at least, that the next president to lead the nation will be elected as a result of the people's choice, depending on who they feel will address issues that affect them, ultimately bringing true change to Uganda.
If you go and you put your finger in the anus of a leopard, you are in trouble. You attacking NRM people. In Uganda here. If you do it in South Sudan, in Kenya, yes, we may have some problem. But here, where do you go?
Who Ugandans choose on the 18th of February will hinge on how candidates in the running intend to handle matters ranging from corruption, youth unemployment, a rising cost of living, just to name a few. In his bid to win over voters, Amama Mbabazi has promised to put an end to land grabbing, police brutality, and to fight poverty by improving household incomes. The former premier has also promised to reduce state house expenditure and redirect the funds to civil servants' pay. The current regime has been accused of bringing sluggish development to the agriculture sector, the backbone of the country's economy, and not eliminating massive youth unemployment.
Most of our agricultural products we have here in Uganda are just consumed within our country. So we need at least to have more of it going to outside countries, such that we get foreign exchange.
I also want to see the presidential candidates talk about the Ugandans, especially who go outside for seeking employment, but the results is not what they expect.
Besigye, on the other hand, is also promising to save Uganda's economy from catastrophe and increase wages of government employees. This will require massive expenditure, but he has a plan. He promises to reduce the number of ministries from 80 to 40, inject more funding to the agricultural sector, and strengthen the manufacturing sector. These, among other promises, are expected to garner votes for Besigye. Yoweri Museveni, on the other hand, has maintained a campaign message of steady progress that seems to promise to build on achievements accrued since he took power in 1986.
This strategy fails to give answers to the many unemployed youth unsure of their future. Museveni's call to stick to the status quo, however, puts his opponents at pains of convincing citizens why they are the better choice. An unenviable task given an increasingly difficulty in holding opposition rallies. Trix Ingado, KTN News,